The universe operates on principles we understand: physics, chemistry, the fundamental laws of cause and effect. Subspace has rules. Warp fields follow mathematical precision. Even the Bajoran wormhole, with all its inexplicable properties, behaves consistently enough to predict its openings. But what happens when something punches through reality itself, bringing technology that shouldn't exist and warriors who fought gods? The bridge of Deep Space Nine erupted in controlled chaos. Major, I'm reading a massive subspace distortion inside the wormhole. Ensign Nog's fingers flew across his console, the Ferengi's sensitive ears flattening against his skull. Energy signature is, it's not matching anything in our database. Major Kira Nerys moved to tactical, her Bajoran instincts screaming that this wasn't a normal wormhole transit. On screen. The view screen shimmered, displaying the Celestial Temple's elegant blue and white vortex. But something was wrong. Violent crimson lightning crackled across the event horizon, and the wormhole itself was pulsing erratically, like a heart in arrest. "The prophets," Kira whispered. Then it emerged. The vessel that tore through the fabric of space-time was like nothing in Starfleet's extensive records. Roughly 300 meters long, its hull was a strange composite of gray-white plating that seemed to drink in the starlight. No nacelles, no visible warp core. The design philosophy was utterly alien, angular, purpose-built, predatory. "Shields are up on the unknown vessel," Nog reported, his voice cracking slightly. "Power signature is, sir, I don't know what I'm looking at. It's not a warp core. It's not a singularity drive. Oh, the energy output is comparable to a Galaxy-class starship, but the frequency is completely wrong." Captain Benjamin Sisko strode onto ops, coffee mug still in hand, his eyes immediately locking onto the tactical display. "Hail them. Standard first contact protocols." "No response, Captain," Kira said. "They're not even acknowledging our transmission." On the Odyssey's bridge, alarms shrieked. "Hyperdrive is offline," Major Kevin Marks called from the engineering station. "We've got subspace fractures across decks 7 through 12. Whatever we just flew through, it tore us apart." Colonel Cameron Mitchell gripped his command chair, his USAF instincts warring with the utterly bizarre sensor data streaming across the Asgard-designed displays. "Carter, please tell me you know where we are." Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Carter's fingers danced across her console, her astrophysicist's mind racing through impossible variables. "We're definitely not in the Pegasus galaxy anymore. Sir, I'm picking up warp signatures? That shouldn't be possible. Warp theory was disproven decades ago in our universe." "Well, apparently someone forgot to tell these guys," Mitchell muttered. "Weapons." "Asgard plasma beams are charged and ready," Marks confirmed. "Shields at 87% and recalibrating. Whatever frequency the local subspace operates on, it's different from home." Daniel Jackson looked up from his station, his archaeologist's curiosity briefly overriding his concern. "Cameron, I'm picking up a structure near that wormhole? It's massive, definitely artificial. The design has elements I've seen in ancient databases, but the execution is completely different." Teal'c's deep voice cut through the chatter. "Colonel Mitchell, we are being hailed." "Put it on screen." Captain Sisko's face appeared, his expression carefully neutral but his eyes sharp with assessment. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine, representing the United Federation of Planets. You've entered Bajoran space through the Celestial Temple. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." Mitchell exchanged glances with Carter, who gave a subtle nod. When you're lost in an unknown galaxy, honesty, carefully measured, was usually the best policy. "Captain Sisko, I'm Colonel Cameron Mitchell, United States Air Force, commanding the Earth vessel Odyssey. We didn't exactly plan this arrival. When we encountered a subspace anomaly during faster-than-light travel and ended up here. We're not looking for trouble." Sisko's eyebrow rose fractionally. "United States Air Force? Colonel, Earth became unified under a single planetary government over 200 years ago, and your ship's design doesn't match any known Earth vessel in our database." "That's because we're not from your Earth, Captain," Carter interjected, stepping into frame beside Mitchell. "I know this sounds impossible, but the evidence suggests we've crossed some kind of dimensional barrier. We're from an alternate reality, or possibly the same reality, but significantly divergent timeline. On Deep Space Nine, the senior staff had assembled in ops. Chief Miles O'Brien was already running sensor sweeps, his engineers' instincts tingling at the exotic energy readings. Yet, Captain, their shields are operating on a completely different principle from anything I've seen. It's not Naution-based. It's not graviton-based. I can't even determine what's generating them. Dr. Julian Bashir leaned in, studying the vessel's hull configuration on a secondary display. That design is optimized for combat. Notice the weapon emplacements. They're not phaser arrays. The focusing crystals are wrong. Worf's tactical board lit up with additional contacts. Captain, 3 Jem'Hadar attack ships are emerging from the wormhole. Kira's jaw tightened. They must have followed them through. On the Odyssey, alarms blared again. 3 contacts, bearing 270 Mark IV, Marks called out. Configuration unknown, but they're charging weapons and heading straight for that station. Vala Maldoran, who'd been uncharacteristically quiet, grinned with feral excitement. Oh, I know that look. Those ships are definitely not friendly. Are we going to do something heroic and stupid? Or are we being smart and self-interested today? Mitchell's hand hovered over the weapons authorization panel. They were lost, damaged, and surrounded by unknown forces in an unfamiliar universe. Every military instinct said to run, to preserve the ship and crew, to find a way home. But 3 hostile ships were bearing down on what appeared to be a civilian space station. SG-1 had never been good at the running away option. Marks, target those lead ships. Prepare Asgard plasma beams. Carter, get me a firing solution that won't hit the station. Teal'c's expression was approval incarnate. Indeed. Sisko watched the impossible vessel maneuver with startling agility for its size, positioning itself between Deep Space Nine and the incoming Jem'Hadar ships. What are they doing? Kira checked her tactical display, and her eyes widened. They're intercepting. Hail them again, Sisko ordered. Tell them to stand down. Those are Dominion warships. They don't know what they're facing. But the Odyssey was already committed, and the Jem'Hadar were about to learn that Earth had survived worse than them. The Jem'Hadar attack ships closed with textbook Dominion precision. Overlapping fire patterns, shield penetration tactics honed through countless battles against Federation vessels. They expected their Polaron beams to slice through shields as they always did. They didn't expect the Odyssey. Fire, Mitchell ordered. Twin lances of blue-white energy erupted from the Odyssey's forward emplacements. Not the orange-yellow Nadion beams of Federation phasers, but something fundamentally different. The Asgard plasma beams didn't just strike the lead Jem'Hadar ship's shields, they carved through them like they weren't there. The first ship exploded in a brilliant flash. No warning. No gradual shield degradation, just instant, catastrophic destruction. On Deep Space Nine, the ops crew stared in stunned silence. What was that? O'Brien breathed. Their weapons just ignored the shields, Nog said, his voice barely above a whisper. Chief, Polaron-resistant shields are supposed to be our best defense against Dominion weapons. These just went straight through. The 2 remaining Jem'Hadar ships broke formation, executing evasive maneuvers that had kept them alive through years of brutal warfare. But the Odyssey's Asgard targeting systems tracked them with mechanical precision. Targeting Ship 2, Marks announced. Firing. Another plasma beam lashed out. The second Jem'Hadar ship's shields flickered, held for exactly 1.3 seconds, then collapsed. The ship's hull breached in a dozen places before it tumbled away, trailing atmosphere and debris. The third ship's commander apparently decided discretion was the better part of valor. It dove back toward the wormhole at maximum impulse. Yo, let him go, Mitchell said. We made our point. Carter was already analyzing the engagement data, her scientific mind cataloging everything. Sir, our shields held against their weapons. Whatever Polaron beams are, the Asgard shield frequency is naturally resistant. We took some power fluctuation, but nothing significant. Convenient, Vala said cheerfully. I do enjoy it when we accidentally stumble into tactical superiority. Makes the whole lost in space thing much more bearable. Daniel removed his glasses, cleaning them with deliberate slowness, his nervous habit when processing something profound. We just intervened in a conflict we don't understand. Those ships might have been attacking the station, or they might have been responding to us appearing through their wormhole. We don't know the political situation here. They locked weapons on a civilian station, Teal grumbled. The choice was clear. To you, maybe, Daniel countered. But we're not in the Milky Way anymore. We don't know their rules, their wars, their history. We just announced ourselves with overwhelming force. Mitchell's jaw tightened. Daniel was right, but so was Teal'c. The discussion would have to wait. Sisko's voice cut through the Odyssey's bridge speakers. Colonel Mitchell, that was impressive and concerning. Those were Jem'Hadar warships, shock troops of the Dominion. We've been fighting them for over a year, and I've never seen them destroyed that quickly. Captain, we're receiving your transmission clearly now, Mitchell replied. I apologize for the radio silence earlier. Our communications officer needed time to decode your transmission protocols. As for the engagement, those ships were targeting your station. We responded. Without knowing the tactical situation, Sisko said, his tone careful. Colonel, I appreciate the assistance, but the Dominion doesn't forget. You've just made yourself a target in a war you don't understand. We've been targets before, Mitchell said simply. Captain, we need repairs. Our faster-than-light drive was damaged coming through your wormhole. We're requesting permission to dock, or at least to hold position and attempt repairs. There was a pause. Mitchell could practically hear the debate happening on the other side. Finally, Sisko spoke. Granted, but I'm sending a runabout to escort you in. Standard procedure for unknown vessels. You'll dock at Upper Pylon 3. Be advised, Colonel. Deep Space Nine is a joint Federation Bajoran operation, but we're also a strategic choke point in an ongoing war. There will be questions. Many questions. Understood, Captain. We'll cooperate fully. The channel closed. Mitchell exhaled slowly, then looked at his team. Carter, how bad is the hyperdrive? Crystal matrix is fractured in the primary array, she said, pulling up diagnostic schematics. I can repair it, but I'll need resources, specifically Naquata or something with similar properties. If their matter replication technology is advanced enough, I might be able to synthesize what we need. Daniel, you're our diplomat. I start researching everything you can about this Federation and the Dominion. I want to know what we just stepped into. Already on it, Daniel said, his fingers flying across the ancient designed interface. Their database transmissions are surprisingly open. I'm pulling historical records now. Cameron, this is fascinating. They have a Prime Directive, a non-interference policy with pre-warp civilizations. It's like the Protected Planet Treaty, but more rigid. Teal'c, work with Marks on tactical assessment. If we're stuck here for a while, I want to know everything about local weapon systems, shield configurations, and combat doctrine. I shall begin immediately, Teal'c confirmed. Vala, you're with me. We're about to dock with a space station. And I need someone who can read a room and spot trouble before it finds us. Vala's grin was predatory. Finally, a job suited to my unique talents. Though I should mention, Cameron, that revealing we have superior technology to a war-torn civilization rarely ends with them politely asking us to leave. Yeah, Mitchell said grimly. I know. The USS Rio Grande, a compact Danube-class runabout, took position off the Odyssey's bow. Kira's voice came through, professional but edged with curiosity. Odyssey, follow us in. Try not to shoot anything else on the way. No promises, Major, Mitchell replied, managing a slight smile. But we'll do our best. As the Odyssey followed the runabout toward Deep Space Nine's docking ring, Daniel pulled up a cultural briefing on the main screen. His face had gone pale. Cameron, you need to see this. Yak the Dominion. They're led by shapeshifters called Founders. They view solid beings, solids, as inherently inferior. They've genetically engineered soldiers called Jem'Hadar, who are addicted to a drug only the Founders control. It's the gold, Carter finished quietly. Different methodology, same philosophy. Genetic enslavement instead of parasitic possession. Teal'c's expression darkened. Then they must be stopped. That's not our call to make, Mitchell said, but his conviction wavered. We're just trying to get home. But even as he said it, Cameron Mitchell knew the truth. SG-1 had never been good at staying out of fights against slavers and tyrants. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic thunk that resonated through the Odyssey's hull. Mitchell stood in the airlock with Carter, Daniel, and Teal'c, while Vala had insisted on checking her hair before first contact, which really meant concealing at least 3 weapons Mitchell pretended not to notice. "Remember," Daniel said, adjusting his glasses, "these people have been at war for over a year. They're tired, suspicious, and probably viewing us as either a potential asset or a threat. Let's try to be the former." "Indeed," Teal'c agreed. "However, we must not allow them to perceive weakness. Respect is earned through strength tempered with honor. So, basically, don't be pushovers, but don't start an intergalactic incident," Mitchell summarized. "Got it." The airlock hissed open. Captain Sisko stood waiting, flanked by Major Kira, Worf, and Chief O'Brien. Behind them, Odo, the station's chief of security and a changeling himself, watched with liquid eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. Sisko extended his hand. "Colonel Mitchell, welcome to Deep Space Nine." Mitchell shook it firmly. "Captain Sisko, thank you for allowing us to dock. I know our arrival was unconventional." "That's one word for it," Kira said, her Bajoran accent clipping the words. "You destroyed 2 Jem'Hadar ships in under 30 seconds. The Dominion has been systematically pushing us back for months, and you made it look easy." "Our weapons operate on different principles," Carter explained, stepping forward. "I'm Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Carter, astrophysicist and the Odyssey's chief science officer. I'd be happy to share technical specifications if that won't be necessary," Worf interrupted, his Klingon features set in a suspicious scowl. "Captain, we know nothing about these people. Their technology, their intentions, their allegiances. For all we know, they could be Dominion allies testing our defenses." Teal'c's eyebrow rose fractionally, an expression of mild amusement that few outside SG-1 would recognize. "I am Teal'c of Chulak. I was once first prime to a false god who enslaved my people through genetic manipulation and religious deception. I have spent many years fighting such tyranny. I assure you, we are not allied with slavers." The temperature in the corridor dropped several degrees. Worf's hand moved unconsciously toward his phaser. "False god?" Odo's voice was quiet, dangerous. You're saying you're familiar with beings who enslave through genetic manipulation?" "The Goa'uld," Daniel said quickly, trying to diffuse the tension. "Parasitic aliens who possessed human hosts and posed as gods. Ra, Apophis, Baal. We spent years fighting them. I'm Dr. Daniel Jackson, archaeologist and linguist. I understand you have questions and we're prepared to answer them. But maybe we could do this somewhere more comfortable than an airlock?" Sisko studied them for a long moment, then nodded. "Agreed. Conference room. But I'm afraid I'll need your weapons." Mitchell's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm. A Beretta M9, ancient by Odyssey standards but reliable. "Captain, with respect, we're military officers in an unknown situation. I'm not comfortable being unarmed." "And I'm not comfortable having armed unknowns on my station," Sisko countered. His tone wasn't hostile, but it was absolute. "You'll get them back when you leave." Vala materialized from the airlock, somehow looking both innocent and dangerous. "Oh, this is delightful. The trust issues, the posturing, the barely contained violence. Reminds me of my first meeting with the Tok'ra. That ended with someone getting stunned and a minor diplomatic incident." "Not helping, Vala," Mitchell muttered. He unholstered his sidearm slowly, handing it grip first to Odo. "All right, Captain. We'll play it your way." The rest of SG-1 followed suit. Odo collected the weapons with his shapeshifter's precision, his liquid form briefly flowing around each firearm, as if memorizing its molecular structure. "Fascinating," he murmured. "These projectile weapons are remarkably primitive compared to your ship's technology." "Kinetic weapons have certain advantages," Teal'c observed. "They are reliable, require no power source, and function in environments where energy weapons fail." Worf's scowl softened microscopically. "A practical philosophy." The conference room overlooked the Wormhole, the Celestial Temple, as the Bajorans called it. Its serene beauty contrasted sharply with the wreckage still tumbling through space from the destroyed Jem'Hadar ships. "Let's start simple," Sisko said, taking his seat at the head of the table. "Where are you from, And how did you get here? Daniel pulled out a tablet. Ancient technology disguised as a common pad. We're from Earth, but clearly not your Earth. Our history diverged significantly from yours. Yet we never developed warp drive. Instead, we discovered a network of ancient transportation devices called Stargates, ring-shaped portals that create stable wormholes across the galaxy. Stable wormholes? O'Brien leaned forward, his engineer's interest piqued. That's theoretically impossible. The energy requirements alone would require technology far beyond conventional physics, Carter finished. The Stargates were built by an ancient race called the Ancients, beings who ascended to a higher plane of existence millions of years ago. We've been exploring the galaxy through their network for about 10 years. Kira's expression shifted, something almost reverent entering her eyes. Ascended beings? We have legends of such entities. The prophets, the beings who exist within the celestial temple. Mom, they exist outside linear time. Daniel's archaeologist instincts fired like neurons. Outside linear time? Captain Sisko, I'd like permission to study your wormhole. The ancient database mentions theoretical structures that could bridge dimensions, but I've never seen one in practice. Absolutely not, Odo said flatly. The Celestial Temple is sacred to the Bajoran people. We're not allowing unknown aliens to experiment with it. I'm not suggesting experimentation, Daniel protested. Just observation. If your prophets and the ancients have any connection, it could explain how we got here, and possibly how we get back. The prophets sent you, Kira said suddenly. It wasn't a question. Major, Sisko began. Sir, think about it. They appear through the temple during a Dominion incursion. Their weapons are perfectly designed to counter Jem'Hadar tactics. The timing is too perfect to be coincidence. The prophets have sent us allies. Or the Dominion sent infiltrators, Worf countered. Shapeshifters could assume any form. How do we know they are who they claim? Odo's expression was unreadable. I can verify that. Allow me to examine one of them physically. That's not creepy at all, Vala murmured. Mitchell stood. Look, we get it. You're at war, you're paranoid, and we just dropped into your laps with superior firepower. In your position, I'd be suspicious too. But here's the truth. We didn't choose to be here. We want to repair our ship and find a way home. If we can help you against the Dominion in the process, fine. But we're not your miracle weapon, and we're not your enemy. Sisko studied him for a long moment. Fair enough, Colonel, but until I'm satisfied you're telling the truth, you and your crew will be confined to the Odyssey and supervised areas of the station. Chief O'Brien will assist with your repairs. Major Kira will serve as your liaison, and Odo will be conducting background checks. Understood, Mitchell said. As they stood to leave, Daniel paused at the viewport, staring at the wormhole. Captain, one question. You said the prophets exist outside time. Have they ever communicated with you directly? Sisko's expression shifted. Something personal, almost vulnerable. Yes. Why? Because the ancients had a rule. Non-interference. They believed enlightened beings shouldn't meddle in the affairs of lower planes. If your prophets are similar and they brought us here, then something very bad is coming, Carter finished quietly. Mitchell returned to the Odyssey to find the crew on edge. Being confined to the ship while unknown aliens studied them didn't sit well with warriors who'd fought the Ori and survived. Status report, he ordered, dropping into his command chair. Major Marks pulled up the tactical display. Security protocols are active. I've counted at least 15 sensor sweeps of our hull in the past hour. They're being thorough. Can't blame them, Carter said, emerging from the engineering section with a PADD covered in equations. I've been analyzing their technology through passive scans. Cameron, their computational systems are decades behind ours in some ways, but their understanding of subspace physics is remarkable. They've mastered stable warp fields, something we never achieved. Because we had hyperspace, Daniel said, I joining them with Teal'c. Two different evolutionary paths. We relied on ancient technology. They developed everything from scratch. A chirp from the communications console interrupted them. Odyssey, this is Chief O'Brien. I'm ready to begin the engineering assessment if Colonel Carter is available. Carter grabbed her toolkit. On my way, Chief. Mitchell watched her go, then turned to Daniel. What did you learn about their religion? You had that look in the conference room. Daniel's eyes lit up, his pure academic excitement overriding tactical concerns. The Bajorans worship the prophets as gods, but they're actually non-corporeal beings living inside the wormhole. They exist outside linear time, which means past, present, and future are simultaneous to them. Sound familiar? The ancients, Teal'c said immediately. Yes, when Amidala ascended, she existed across all moments simultaneously. Exactly, but here's what's interesting. Sisko has met them, multiple times. They call him the Sisko, some kind of prophet or emissary. And they've interfered in this universe's affairs despite being ascended beings. Mitchell frowned. The ancients had strict non-interference rules. Oma nearly faced severe consequences for helping me ascend. Which is why I think the prophets aren't ancients, Daniel said, pulling up his research on a wall display. There's something else. Something that evolved differently, maybe in this universe, but the parallels are too strong to ignore. An alarm cut through the discussion. Mark's hands flew across tactical. Sir, unauthorized transport in progress. Someone just beamed directly into our... A figure materialized on the bridge without warning, without permission, without the familiar shimmer of Asgard transporters. He was human, or appeared to be, dressed in a nondescript black suit that screamed, intelligence operative. His smile was pleasant and utterly cold. Colonel Mitchell, I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but I'm working on a tight schedule. He extended a hand. Section 31. Mitchell didn't take it. Who? Think of us as Starfleet Intelligence's more pragmatic division. We handle threats the Federation can't officially acknowledge. He moved to the command chair, studying the Asgard interfaces with obvious interest. Impressive vessel. The Asgard are myth in this universe, ancient aliens who supposedly seeded humanoid life across the galaxy. Yet here you are, flying a ship built with their technology. Teal'c moved subtly, positioning himself between the intruder and the main systems. You will explain your presence, or you will be removed. Relax, I'm here to make you an offer. The operative pulled out a small device, Federation technology, but modified. This contains coordinates for a facility in the Gamma Quadrant. Before the war, the Federation conducted exploratory missions through the Wormhole. We found evidence of your ancients, technology, specifically, a device we believe is a dimensional gateway. Daniel's breath caught. You're saying there's ancient tech in this universe? We're saying there might be. The research was incomplete. The Dominion invasion forced us to abandon the site. But if your Dr. Jackson is as brilliant as his counterpart in our database suggests, then he might be able to activate it. Counterpart? Mitchell's jaw tightened. You have records of us? The Federation's database includes information from multiple timelines, temporal incursions, alternate realities encountered by our ships. There are 17 documented versions of Earth in the multiverse. One of them has a Stargate program. The operative's smile widened. Imagine our surprise when you appeared. Carter's voice crackled over the comm. Mitchell, I'm in their engineering section and... Wait, someone just tried to access our remote systems. They hit our security protocols hard. That would be my associate, the operative said calmly, ensuring we could speak privately. Don't worry, no data was extracted. Consider it a demonstration. Of what? Mitchell snapped. Your ability to piss us off? Of what you're facing. Captain Sisko is an honorable man, but he's bound by Federation law and the Prime Directive. He'll never let you leave with your technology intact. Starfleet Command will classify the Odyssey, confiscate your ship, and protect you on some remote starbase while they reverse engineer everything. And Section 31 offers what exactly? Freedom. We get you to the ancient facility. You activate the gateway and go home. In exchange, you provide us with detailed schematics of Asgard plasma weapons and shield technology. He leaned forward. The Dominion is winning this war, Colonel. Billions will die unless we develop a tactical advantage. Your weapons could turn the tide. At what cost? Daniel demanded. Every time we've shared advanced technology, it's been weaponized. The Trust? The Lucian Alliance? This isn't your universe, the operative interrupted. Your mistakes don't apply here. And frankly, Dr. Jackson, you don't have the luxury of moral hesitation. The Dominion won't stop with the Federation. If they consolidate power in the Alpha Quadrant, they'll start looking for other dimensions to conquer, including yours. The bridge fell silent. Mitchell exchanged glances with his team. Teal'c's expression was stone, but his hand hovered near where his weapon would normally be. Daniel looked torn, the scientist in him desperate to study ancient technology, the humanist horrified by the implications. "We need time to consider," Mitchell finally said. "You have 6 hours. After that, Starfleet security will implement new protocols making it impossible for me to return." The operative tossed a small chip onto the console. "Encrypted communication frequency. When you're ready to be realistic about survival, contact me." He vanished in a transporter beam, definitely not Federation standard, something more advanced. "Well," Vala said, appearing from wherever she'd been observing. "That was ominous. I liked the part where he casually threatened multidimensional war. Very motivational." Mitchell picked up the chip, studying it. "Marks, I want this analyzed. Full security sweep. If Section 31 left any surprises, I want them found." "On it, sir." Daniel removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly, buying time to think. Cameron, he might be right. Not about giving them weapons, but about the Dominion. But if they're anything like the Goa'uld or Ori, they won't stop expanding. "The Goa'uld were defeated through alliance and patience," Teal'c rumbled, "not through sharing weapons with those who cannot be trusted." "Teal'c's right," Mitchell decided. "We don't know these people. We don't know their ethics, their limits, or what they do with Asgard technology. Until we're sure, we trust Sisko, not some shadow operative who beams onto our ship uninvited." Carter's voice returned over the comm. "Mitchell, Chief O'Brien and I have identified what we need for hyperdrive repairs. But there's a problem. The material synthesis requires their industrial replicators, and those are controlled by Starfleet. We'll need official approval." "Which means going through proper channels," Mitchell sighed. "All right. Yeah, looks like we're doing this the hard way," Vala grinned. "When have we ever done things the easy way?" Outside, through the viewport, the wormhole pulsed with otherworldly light. And deep within the celestial temple, beings outside time watched with ancient, unknowable intent. The Jem'Hadar came at dawn. Not that DS9 had a true dawn, but the third watch changeover was when station defenses were statistically weakest. The Dominion had studied Starfleet patterns for over a year. They knew how to exploit fatigue. 6 attack ships decloaked simultaneously at optimal firing range. "Red alert!" Kira's voice echoed through ops as Klaxon screamed. "All hands to battle stations. Shields up, weapons online." Sisko was already moving, his coffee abandoned. "How many?" "6 contacts, Jem'Hadar configuration," Worf reported from Tactical. "They are charging weapons." "Captain, they are not attacking the station. They are targeting the Odyssey." On the Odyssey's bridge, Mitchell was thrown from sleep to combat readiness in seconds. "Battle stations, marks, status!" 6 hostiles, weapons hot. "Sir, they're ignoring the station entirely." Marks's fingers danced across the Asgard tactical interface. "They want us specifically." Carter's voice crackled over the comm from engineering. "Shields are up, weapons charged. Cameron, we're still docked. If we fire from here, we risk hitting the station's pylon." "Decouple docking clamps," Mitchell ordered. "Emergency release now." The Odyssey tore free from the docking ring with a metallic screech that would have made Chief O'Brien weep. Warning lights flashed across DS9's operations center as the sudden departure triggered proximity alarms. "They're moving," Nog called out. "The Odyssey just executed an emergency undock. Chief, we've got structural damage to Pylon 3. "Never mind that now," O'Brien growled, pulling up defensive systems. "Major, those Jem'Hadar ships are spreading out. Classic attack pattern Delta. They're going to try to overwhelm the Odyssey's shields through concentrated crossfire." Sisko's jaw tightened. The Odyssey had saved his station 2 days ago, but he still didn't fully trust them. Still, watching 6 Dominion ships tear apart potential allies didn't sit well. "Load quantum torpedoes," he ordered. "Target the lead Jem'Hadar ships. Fire when ready." "Sir?" Worf looked up, surprised. "We are intervening?" They attacked near my station, endangering my people, Sisko said flatly. That's all the justification I need. Fire. Quantum torpedoes streaked through space. Blue-white pearls of devastating energy. They slammed into two Jem'Hadar shields, weakening them but not breaching. The Dominion ships were tough, designed to absorb punishment. The Odyssey, meanwhile, executed a maneuver that made several DS-9 officers gasp. The warship spun on its axis with fighter-like agility, bringing its ventral plasma beam emplacements to bear on 3 attacking ships simultaneously. Multiple target lock acquired, Marks announced, firing. 3 Asgard plasma beams lanced out. The first Jem'Hadar ship's shields held for precisely 2 seconds before collapsing. The beam carved through the hull, igniting the ship's antimatter containment. The explosion was instantaneous. The second ship tried to evade, but the Asgard targeting system tracked it effortlessly. Another beam, another shield collapse, another fireball. The third ship managed to angle its shields, dispersing some of the energy. Its shields held, barely. But the ship was wounded, trailing plasma and spinning out of control. Our 3 ships destroyed or disabled, Teal'c reported with professional calm. The remaining 3 are regrouping. In DS-9 Ops, the tactical display showed a battle that shouldn't be possible. 6 Jem'Hadar ships, a force that would normally require a full Federation task force to engage, had been reduced to 3 in under 15 seconds. By the prophets, Kira whispered. Worf's expression was unreadable, somewhere between admiration and deep concern. Captain, their weapons are more effective than our most advanced torpedo systems. A single ship with that firepower could change the course of the war, Sisko finished grimly, or start a new one. The 3 surviving Jem'Hadar ships didn't retreat. Retreat wasn't in their genetic programming. Instead, only they coordinated, firing simultaneously at the Odyssey's aft shields while one ship launched a kamikaze run directly at the bridge. Brace for impact, Mitchell shouted. The Jem'Hadar ship slammed into the Odyssey's forward shields at full impulse. The collision sent shockwaves through both vessels. Asgard's shields flared brilliant blue-white, absorbing the kinetic energy, but the indicator dropped to 63%. Shields holding, Carter reported, but that hit damaged our forward sensor array. We're partially blind. Then we do this old school, Mitchell said. Marks, plot a firing solution based on last known positions. Teal'c, manual targeting. Teal'c moved to the secondary tactical station with practiced ease. His century of combat experience compensated for technological limitations. Targets acquired. Fire. 2 more plasma beams, 2 more explosions. The final Jem'Hadar ship, now alone and heavily damaged, executed one last attack, launching 4 photon torpedoes at point-blank range before its warp core breached. Incoming, Marks yelled. The torpedoes impacted across the Odyssey's hull. Shields absorbed 3, but the 4th slipped through a weakened section, detonating against the port hull plating. The explosion tore through outer decks, venting atmosphere and debris. Alarms shrieked. Hull breach on decks 8 and 9, Carter called. Emergency force fields are holding, but we've got casualties. Medical teams responding. Mitchell's hands gripped his armrests. Damage report. Port shields at 40%, forward sensors offline, hull breaches on 2 decks. And hyperdrive repairs just got set back another week, Marks listed. But we're alive, sir. All hostiles destroyed. The bridge fell silent except for the sound of damage control teams scrambling through the ship. Mitchell stood, surveying the tactical display showing 6 debris fields where Dominion ships had been. Vala, coordinate damage control. Daniel, check for civilian casualties. I want to know if anyone got hurt because of us. Teal'c, secure the ship. If the Dominion sent 6, they might send 12 next time. His team moved with practiced efficiency. Mitchell turned to the view screen, where Deep Space Nine hung in space, its running lights steady and calm despite the chaos. Sisko's face appeared on screen. Colonel, are you all right? We've been better, Captain. Lost some hull plating and took damage, but we're operational. I thank you for the assist. Those quantum torpedoes gave us breathing room. The Dominion doesn't give up easily, Sisko warned. They'll analyze this battle, adapt their tactics, and return with overwhelming force. That's their pattern. Then they'll learn we adapt too, Mitchell said. But privately, he knew Sisko was right. The Dominion had just seen exactly what the Odyssey could do, and they'd send everything they had to neutralize the threat. Kira's voice cut in. Colonel Mitchell, this is Major Kira. We're dispatching repair teams to assist with your damage, and I think Captain Sisko would like to continue our earlier conversation about cooperation. Mitchell caught the unspoken message. The battle had changed the equation. The Federation had just watched 6 Jem'Hadar ships die in minutes. See, Section 31's words echoed in his mind. The Dominion is winning this war. Understood, Major. We'll be ready to talk. As the channel closed, Daniel appeared beside him. Cameron, I accessed their casualty reports from the Dominion War. Over 800 billion dead across multiple species. The Jem'Hadar are designed soldiers, born addicted to a drug that ensures loyalty. No childhood, no choice. It's systematic enslavement. I know where you're going with this, Mitchell said quietly. Do you? Because I'm looking at a war that mirrors everything we fought against. The Goa'uld enslaved through parasitic possession. The Ori enslaved through religious fervor. The Dominion enslaves through genetic engineering, and we have the power to stop it. Or make it worse, Mitchell countered. We give them our weapons. And what happens after the war? What happens when the Federation has technology that can destroy ships in seconds? Teal'c joined them, his voice grave. There is wisdom in both positions. The Jaffa would have remained enslaved without aid from the Tauri. Yet the replicators were created as weapons and nearly destroyed multiple galaxies. The choice is not simple. No, Mitchell agreed. It never is. The conference room was more crowded this time. Sisko had assembled his senior staff, while Mitchell brought Carter, Daniel, and Teal'c. The tension was palpable, not hostile, but the weight of mutual assessment hung heavy in the recycled air. Let me be direct, Sisko began, hands folded on the table. 6 Jem'Hadar ships attacked you specifically. That wasn't random. The Dominion saw what you did 2 days ago and designated you a priority threat. They'll keep coming until you're destroyed or driven away. We can handle ourselves, Mitchell said. Against 6 ships, yes. Against 60? Sisko's gaze was steady. Colonel, the Dominion has thousands of ships. They can afford losses we can't. You're one vessel, isolated, with no support and no supply line. Eventually, they'll overwhelm you through sheer numbers. Worf leaned forward, his tactical mind clearly running scenarios. Your weapons are superior. Your shields are more resistant to polaron beams, but you are not invincible. Concentrated fire from a Dominion fleet would destroy you. Which is why we're proposing an alliance, Kira said. You need repair facilities, resources, and intelligence on Dominion tactics. We need hope. The war isn't going well. Every week, we lose more ships, more colonies, more people. O'Brien pulled up casualty statistics on the wall display. Mitchell's jaw tightened as the numbers scrolled past. Thousands of dead in single engagements, entire star systems occupied, civilian populations subjugated. The Dominion uses cloned soldiers, O'Brien explained. Jem'Hadar are gestated in 8 days, fully grown and combat-ready. They're addicted to Ketracel White, a drug that ensures absolute loyalty. Without it, they die within 3 days. The Founders control the supply. Teal'c's expression darkened visibly. Genetic slavery. The Goa'uld created Jaffa to serve through symbiote dependency. This is no different. It's worse, Daniel said quietly, studying the cultural data. The Jaffa at least had childhood, families, some semblance of choice before implantation. The Jem'Hadar are born into slavery, programmed with absolute loyalty to the Founders. They literally cannot conceive of freedom. And the Founders themselves? Mitchell asked. Odo spoke for the first time, his liquid features shifting with barely contained anger. I am a changeling, the same species as the Founders. They created the Dominion because they believe solids are inherently chaotic and must be controlled. They engineered the Vorta as administrators and the Jem'Hadar as soldiers. Everything serves their vision of order through domination. You're one of them, Teal'c observed, yet you oppose them. I was sent as an infant into the Alpha Quadrant, an explorer meant to gather information. But I learned something they never expected, that solids are capable of honor, friendship, and justice. The founders are wrong, and I'll do whatever it takes to stop them. Carter had been silent, running calculations on her pad. Captain Sisko, I've been analyzing your tactical reports. The Dominion's numerical advantage is overwhelming, but there are patterns. They rely on standardized tactics, swarm attacks, overwhelming firepower, attrition warfare. If we could disrupt their supply lines or create force multipliers. We've tried, Worf said grimly. Every strategic option has been explored. Without a technological breakthrough or significant reinforcements, the Federation will lose this war within 18 months. The room fell silent. Mitchell looked at his team, reading their expressions. Carter's scientific mind was already calculating possibilities. Daniel's humanitarian instincts were warring with his caution about interference. Teal'c's warrior philosophy demanded action against slavers. Let me ask you something, Captain, Mitchell said carefully. If we share technology, if we help you develop weapons to fight the Dominion, what happens after the war? Who controls those weapons? Sisko didn't hesitate. Starfleet Command. Subject to Federation oversight, bound by our laws and principles. And if someone in your government decides to use them against other species, against potential rivals? The Federation doesn't operate that way, Kira protested. We're an alliance of equals, dedicated to peaceful exploration. Every government says that, Daniel interrupted gently. The Goa'uld claim to be benevolent gods. The Ori offered salvation. Even our own government created the NID, an organization that committed atrocities in the name of Earth's protection. Good intentions don't guarantee good outcomes. Bashir, who'd been quietly observing, spoke up. You're worried about Section 31. The room went very quiet. Sisko's expression hardened. What do you know about Section 31? One of their operatives visited us, Mitchell said. I offered us a deal, access to ancient technology in exchange for weapon schematics. We declined. Worf's hand slammed the table. Section 31 is a rogue organization. They operate outside Federation law, claiming to protect us through methods we would never sanction. If they approached you, then they're desperate, Sisko finished, or they know something we don't. He stood, pacing to the viewport. Section 31 doesn't represent Federation values, but they exist because sometimes dirty work needs doing. I don't agree with their methods, but I understand the logic. That's a dangerous path, Daniel warned. We've seen what happens when the ends justify the means. The Trust, the Lucian Alliance, organizations that started with good intentions and became worse than their enemies. So what do you propose? Kira demanded. Yeah, we just let billions die because you're afraid of hypothetical future corruption? No, Mitchell said. We propose something different. We'll help with repairs, tactical advice, and limited technological assistance, but nothing that could be weaponized on a mass scale. We'll fight alongside you, but we won't hand over Asgard weapons technology. That's not enough, Worf growled. We need every advantage. It's what we can offer without compromising our principles, Teal'c said firmly. The Tauri shared staff weapons with the Jaffa Rebellion because we trusted them. We do not yet know if the Federation can be trusted with technology that could destabilize your entire quadrant. Sisko turned from the viewport, his expression unreadable. So, we're back to square one. You need us for repairs. We need you for firepower. But neither side trusts the other enough for real cooperation. Carter stood, pulling up schematics on her pad. Not quite, Captain. I have a proposal. Chief O'Brien and I have been working on a collaborative approach. We can't give you Asgard plasma weapons, but we can help you optimize your existing quantum torpedoes. Small adjustments to yield, guidance systems, and detonation timing. Nothing revolutionary, but enough to increase effectiveness by 15 to 20%. O'Brien's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We wouldn't need to reverse engineer alien technology. We'd be improving our own designs using your theoretical knowledge. Exactly, Carter said. We provide consultation, not weapons. You maintain technological sovereignty. And if the improvements work, the rest of the Federation fleet could implement them within months. Sisko studied the proposal, his strategic mind working through implications. It's not as much as we hoped for, but it's more than we have now. I can work with that. As can I, Worf admitted grudgingly. Honorable compromise serves both parties. There's one more thing, Daniel said. Captain, you mentioned the wormhole, the celestial temple. I'd like permission to study it. Not to experiment, just to observe and research. If there's any connection to ancient technology, it might give us clues about getting home. Kira's expression turned protective. The temple is sacred to my people. I understand that. I've spent years studying sacred sites across multiple cultures. I know how to be respectful. Daniel's sincerity was evident. Major, if your prophets exist outside time and they brought us here, maybe they want us to understand why. I'll escort you personally, Kira decided, and if the prophets object, you leave immediately. Mitchell nodded. Agreed. So we have a deal? Limited cooperation, mutual assistance, but no wholesale technology transfer? Sisko extended his hand. Deal. Welcome to the Dominion War, Colonel Mitchell. As they shook, Mitchell couldn't shake the feeling that they'd just committed to far more than repairs and tactical advice. Outside, in the cold void of space, 3 cloaked Jem'Hadar ships watched and waited, transmitting data to their Vorta commanders. The Founders were patient, and they were very interested in Earth's unexpected visitors. The Founder materialized in Deep Space Nine's holding cell like liquid mercury, assuming form, flowing upward from a puddle that shouldn't exist, bypassing every security protocol, every force field, every sensor array designed to detect intrusion. She stood there, perfect in her assumed humanoid shape, wearing the face of a middle-aged woman with eyes that held millennia of cold calculation. Odo's security alert came 3 seconds too late. Intruder in holding cell 3. His voice crackled through the station's comm system. All security teams respond. It's a Founder. By the time Sisko reached the brig with Worf and a full security detail, the female changeling was seated calmly on the holding cell's bench, hands folded, utterly at ease despite being surrounded by armed officers. Captain Sisko, she said pleasantly, thank you for the accommodating facilities, though I must point out your force fields are ineffective against my kind. I'm here by choice. Worf's phaser was aimed at her head. You are under arrest for, please, she waved dismissively. I'm here under diplomatic immunity. I wish to speak with the visitors from the other Earth, the ones with the interesting ship. Sisko's expression was stone. You attack their vessel, kill 6 of your own ships trying to destroy them, and now you want to talk? Those were tests, Captain. Necessary assessments of their capabilities. Now that we understand what they can do, I have a proposal. Her smile was predatory. I assume you've contacted them already? On the Odyssey, Mitchell received Sisko's urgent hail with growing dread. She's just sitting there? He asked, you staring at the visual feed showing the Founder in her cell, looking utterly unconcerned. Changelings can infiltrate anywhere, Sisko explained. We have no way to hold her if she wants to leave. She's claiming diplomatic status and requesting a meeting with you specifically. Carter was already running sensor sweeps. Cameron, if she can bypass their security that easily, she could infiltrate the Odyssey. We have no defense against shapeshifters. Actually, we might, Daniel said, pulling up ancient database entries. The ancients encountered shape-shifting species. Their sensors could detect quantum-level molecular fluctuations. If we recalibrate the Asgard scanners to look for similar patterns. Do it, Mitchell ordered. Teal'c, Security Protocols Alpha. Anyone comes aboard, they get scanned down to the atomic level. Vala appeared. I'm looking far too interested. A shapeshifter who runs an interstellar empire wants to chat with us personally? This is either an incredible opportunity or a spectacular trap. Possibly both. Your assessment? Mitchell asked Teal'c. The Jaffa warrior considered carefully. The Goa'uld system lords often proposed alliances when they perceived a new threat. It was their nature to divide enemies through deception. This Founder likely seeks the same. So we refuse the meeting, Carter said. No, Mitchell decided. We hear what she has to say. On our terms, our location, with every precaution we can manage. Daniel, you're with me. Your experience negotiating with manipulative aliens is about to get a workout. 2 hours later, the female changeling stood in the Odyssey's conference room, flanked by Odo and Sisko. Mitchell had insisted on neutral ground, neither DS-9 nor a Dominion vessel, and the founder had agreed with disturbing ease. "Your ship is remarkable," she said, running her hand along the bulkhead. "Asgard design philosophy is elegant. They were an ancient race in our universe as well, though they vanished millions of years ago. To see their technology still functioning—" "State your purpose," Mitchell said coldly. "You've killed thousands of Federation citizens. You're enslaving entire species. Why would we negotiate with you?" "Because you're pragmatists, Colonel." She settled into a chair with fluid grace. "I've studied your history, what little our infiltrators could gather. Your Earth has fought parasitic aliens, false gods, religious zealots. You've made alliances with former enemies when circumstances demanded. The Tok'ra, the Jaffa. Even the Asgard themselves weren't always your friends." Daniel's jaw tightened. "We allied with people fighting for freedom, not empires built on slavery." "Perspective, Dr. Jackson. The founders created order from chaos. Before the Dominion, the Gamma Quadrant was an endless cycle of violence. Solids fighting solids, empires rising and falling, billions dying in meaningless conflicts. We ended that. We brought stability. Through genetic engineering and addiction-based mind control," Sisko said flatly. "That's not stability. That's tyranny." The founder's expression didn't change, but something cold entered her eyes. "You're in no position to lecture me about tyranny, Captain. The Federation's Prime Directive allows primitive civilizations to suffer and die, rather than interfere. You've watched genocides unfold because helping would violate your precious principles. At least we're honest about imposing order." "You wanted to make a proposal," Mitchell interrupted, refusing to be drawn into philosophical debate. "Make it. Simple. We know you want to return to your universe. We have resources the Federation lacks. Dimensional research, exotic particles, access to spatial anomalies across the Gamma Quadrant. Help us end this war, and we'll help you find a way home." "By help you end the war, you mean help you conquer the Federation," Daniel said. "I mean, help us achieve victory, yes. The alternative is a grinding conflict lasting decades, killing trillions on both sides. Your intervention could shorten the war, save lives, Federation lives included. Isn't that worth considering?" Carter leaned forward. "Even if we believed your intentions, which we don't, what guarantee do we have you'd keep your word?" "The same guarantee any alliance has, mutual self-interest. We want your technology and tactical expertise. You want dimensional transport research. Neither goal requires deception." The founder shifted, her form becoming slightly more liquid before solidifying again. "Unlike the Federation, we don't pretend to be motivated by altruism. We're honest about our needs." Teal'c's voice was quiet but deadly. "The Goa'uld made similar claims. They promised order, stability, protection. They delivered only suffering. I see no difference between your Dominion and their System Lord Empire." "The difference is we succeed where they failed," she replied. "Your Goa'uld were overthrown because they were weak, decadent, reliant on stolen technology they barely understood. We are none of those things." Mitchell stood abruptly. "We're done here. Your proposal is rejected." "I expected that response. But Colonel, consider this. The Federation cannot win this war. Their production capacity is insufficient, their alliances are fragile, and they're fighting on multiple fronts. Within 2 years, every major Federation world will be under Dominion control, including this station." She turned to Odo, her expression softening in a way that seemed almost genuine. "Odo, you're my kind. You belong with the founders, not these solids. Come home. We can give you what they never can: understanding, acceptance, the Great Link." Odo's liquid features hardened into solid resolve. "I know what you offer. I've chosen my home, and it's not with you. Pity." The founder returned her attention to Mitchell. "I'll give you 72 hours to reconsider. After that, the Dominion commits its full resources to destroying your ship and everyone aboard. You've seen 6 attack ships. Imagine 600. "We'll take our chances," Mitchell said. "Then you'll die here, Colonel. Far from your home, in a war that isn't yours, for a government that doesn't fully trust you." She moved toward the door, flanked by Odo and Sisko's security. "Such a waste." As the founder was escorted back to DS9 for transport to a Dominion vessel, Daniel turned to Mitchell. "She's going to attack, isn't she? Full force?" "Absolutely," Mitchell confirmed. "Carter, how long until hyperdrive repairs are complete?" 4 days minimum. Even with Chief O'Brien's help, we need specialized components. Then we have 4 days to prepare for the largest battle this station has ever seen. Mitchell looked at Sisko's image on the view screen. "Captain, I hope you have a plan, because the Dominion just declared total war on everyone in this sector." Sisko's expression was grim. "I'll contact Starfleet Command. We'll need every ship we can muster." "And I'll contact Section 31, Mitchell admitted quietly. "I hate giving that operative satisfaction, but we need intelligence on Dominion fleet movements." "Cameron," Daniel started. "I know, but if 600 ships are coming, we need every advantage, even the ones that make us uncomfortable." The channel closed. Outside, the wormhole pulsed with its eternal rhythm, beautiful and serene. And somewhere in the Gamma Quadrant, the Dominion was mobilizing for annihilation. The war room on Deep Space Nine had been transformed into a tactical operations center. Wall displays showed fleet positions, supply routes, and sensor telemetry streaming in from across the sector. Starfleet officers worked alongside Odyssey crew members, the two groups gradually learning each other's technical languages. Admiral Ross's face filled the main screen, his expression grave. "Captain Sisko, Starfleet Command is dispatching every available ship to your position, but it will take time. The 7th Fleet is engaged near Beta Z, the 5th is protecting Vulcan, and the 2nd is spread across the Romulan border." "How many ships can you spare, Admiral?" Sisko asked. 47. Against a Dominion fleet our intelligence suggests will number over 300. Ross's voice was flat, professional, but the despair underneath was evident. "Captain, if they're committing that many resources to destroy one ship, I'm authorizing you to evacuate Deep Space Nine. The station isn't worth—" "With respect, Admiral, the station is exactly what's worth defending," Sisko interrupted. "The wormhole is the only stable passage to the Gamma Quadrant. If the Dominion takes DS9, they control reinforcement routes and can launch invasions at will. We hold here, or we lose the entire quadrant." Ross studied him for a long moment. "Then God help you, Ben. You have your ships. Ross out." The screen went dark. Kira turned to Sisko, her Bajoran features set with determination. 47 Federation ships plus the Odyssey against 300. The Prophets will need to work overtime. "The Prophets and some very clever tactics," Mitchell said, entering with Carter and Teal'c. "Captain, Colonel Carter has a proposal." Carter activated a holographic display showing DS9's defensive grid. "Your station's shield generators are impressive, but they're designed for sustained bombardment from limited vectors. A swarm attack from 300 ships will overwhelm them in minutes. However, if we integrate Asgard shield harmonics with your existing systems, we could create overlapping frequency bands," O'Brien finished, his engineer's mind racing. "The Dominion's Polaron weapons are calibrated for our shield frequencies. If we're constantly shifting between Federation and Asgard patterns, they'll have to recalibrate targeting sensors continuously," Carter confirmed. "It won't stop them, but it'll buy time." Worf studied the tactical projection. "Time for what? Even with improved defenses, we are outnumbered 6-1. Time for this." Mitchell activated a secondary display showing the Gamma Quadrant wormhole terminus. "The Dominion fleet will come through the wormhole in waves. They have to. Their ships can't all transit simultaneously without destabilizing the aperture. If we position our forces correctly, we can engage them as they emerge, before they form battle lines." "A killing field," Teal'c observed. "We would be using the wormhole itself as a tactical choke point. It is sound strategy." Daniel had been working at a side console, cross-referencing ancient databases with Federation astronomical charts. "Cameron, there's something else. I've been studying the Prophets' interactions with this universe. They've intervened directly 3 times, always when the wormhole itself was threatened. If a massive fleet battle happens at their doorstep, they might respond." "We can't count on divine intervention," Sisko said firmly. "The Prophets work in their own time, their own ways. We plan as if we're on our own." "Agreed," Mitchell said. "But it's worth noting as a possibility." A priority communication interrupted them. Odo's voice tight with urgency. Security to ops. We have a situation in the docking ring. Someone just beamed aboard from an unregistered vessel. Human, male, carrying Section 31 credentials. Mitchell swore under his breath. The operative. He said he'd contact us, not just show up. The man in the black suit appeared moments later, escorted by Odo, and looking utterly unperturbed by the armed guards. Gentlemen, ladies, I hope I'm not interrupting your doomsday planning. You have 30 seconds to justify your presence before I have you thrown in the brig, Sisko said coldly. I have intelligence on Dominion fleet composition and attack vectors. Thought you might want it. He tossed a data chip on the conference table. 317 ships, to be precise. 240 Jem'Hadar attack ships, 63 battle cruisers, 14 Vorta command vessels, and 1 Founder flagship. ETA, 41 hours. Carter grabbed the chip, running it through security protocols before uploading. The tactical display updated, showing predicted Dominion formation patterns with disturbing accuracy. How did you get this? Worf demanded. We have assets in the Gamma Quadrant. Some still loyal to the Federation despite the occupation. The operative's expression was unreadable. Section 31 exists to do what Starfleet can't officially acknowledge. This is one of those times. You're here for more than intelligence, Mitchell said. What do you want? The same thing I wanted before, Asgard weapon schematics. But I'm willing to sweeten the deal. He pulled up schematics of his own, Federation technology Mitchell didn't recognize. This is a trilithium-based subspace weapon. Highly experimental, morally questionable, and absolutely devastating. One properly deployed device could detonate a star. The room went silent. That's insane, O'Brien breathed. A weapon like that could commit genocide on a planetary scale. Yes, which is why it's been locked in a classified archive for 15 years. But desperate times call for desperate measures. The operative looked directly at Mitchell. You give us Asgard plasma beam technology. We give you this. One shot to even the odds. By committing mass murder, Daniel said, his voice shaking with barely controlled anger. You're talking about destroying entire solar systems. I'm talking about survival. The Dominion won't stop with the Federation. They'll keep expanding, keep enslaving, until every species in the quadrant is under their control, unless we stop them here, now, with every weapon available. Teal'c moved forward, his presence suddenly menacing. I have fought false gods who justified atrocities through claims of necessity. You are no different. We will not enable genocide regardless of the enemy. Then you'll die here, the operative said flatly. All of you. And when the Dominion eventually finds your universe, they'll conquer it too. How many lives is your moral purity worth, Colonel Mitchell? Mitchell's hand clenched into a fist. Every instinct screamed at him to throw this man off the station. But the tactical display showed 317 ships and 47 Federation vessels that wouldn't be enough. Get out, he said quietly. Colonel, I said get out. We don't massacre solar systems. Not for victory, not for survival, not ever. If that's your solution, we'll find another way. The operative studied him for a long moment, then nodded. I expected that answer, but I had to try. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Colonel, I hope you find that other way, because if you don't, billions will die anyway, or at least my method would save some of them. He vanished in a transporter beam, definitely not Federation standard. The room remained silent for several heartbeats. Finally, Sisko spoke. That may have been the right moral choice, Colonel, but tactically, we just lost our best chance at victory. No, Carter said suddenly, her eyes lighting up with inspiration. We lost his chance, but I think I have another one. It's risky, possibly catastrophic if it fails, but it doesn't involve genocide. I'm listening, Mitchell said. Carter pulled up the wormhole schematics, overlaying them with Asgard hyperspace theory. The Bajoran wormhole is artificially stabilized. The Prophets maintain it somehow. But what if we could temporarily destabilize it? Not collapse it. It'd just make it turbulent enough that ships transiting through experience severe spatial distortion. O'Brien's eyes widened. You're talking about turning the wormhole into a weapon. Ships coming through would be torn apart by subspace shear. Exactly. We'd need to time it perfectly. Let our forces pull back, wait for the Dominion fleet to commit to transit, then trigger the destabilization. And how do we restabilize it afterward? Sisko demanded. If we permanently damage the Celestial Temple. We don't, Daniel said, understanding Carter's plan. We asked the prophets to do it. They created the wormhole. If anyone can repair it, they can. That's a lot of faith in beings we barely understand, Kira said. Yes, Daniel agreed. But faith is what you have when logic isn't enough. Mitchell looked at the tactical display, calculating odds and consequences. 300 ships or one desperate gambit. Certain death or probable catastrophe. How long to set up the destabilization? He asked. 18 hours, Carter said. Maybe less with Chief O'Brien's help. Do it. And pray to whatever gods are listening that this works. 36 hours later, the Dominion fleet emerged from the wormhole like a swarm of metal locusts. The view screen on the Odyssey's bridge showed the terrifying reality of Dominion military doctrine. Wave after wave of attack ships pouring through the spatial aperture, forming attack formations with practiced precision. Behind them came the battle cruisers, massive and bristling with weapons. And behind those, the Vorta command vessels coordinating the assault with cold efficiency. 317 contacts and counting, Marks reported, his voice tight. They're spreading into standard assault formation. Estimate 5 minutes until they are in firing range. Mitchell stood at the command chair, watching 47 Federation ships form defensive positions around Deep Space Nine. The Galaxy-class USS Galaxy, the Akira-class Thunderchild, the Defiant-class Valiant, every ship a testament to Federation engineering, every ship hopelessly outmatched. Carter, status on the wormhole destabilization device? Installed and calibrated, Carter's voice came from engineering. Chief O'Brien and I triple-checked the calculations. When you give the word, we trigger a cascading subspace inversion through the Asgard deflector array. The wormhole will become turbulent within seconds. How turbulent? Mitchell asked. Imagine a Category 5 hurricane in space-time, O'Brien's Irish accent cut in. Any ship trying to transit will be subjected to gravitational shear forces exceeding 10,000 gravities. Nothing survives that. How many Dominion ships are through already? Approximately 180, Mark said. The rest are queued on the Gamma Quadrant side, waiting for transit clearance. Not enough, Mitchell muttered. They needed more ships through the wormhole, enough to decisively weaken the Dominion fleet, but not so many that the remaining forces could still overwhelm DS9's defenders. On Deep Space Nine's bridge, Sisko watched the same tactical display with grim calculation. All ships, this is Captain Sisko. Execute attack pattern Sierra. Target the lead elements. Draw them forward. We need the Dominion committed before we spring the trap. The Federation fleet surged forward. Quantum torpedoes streaked through space, slamming into Jem'Hadar shields. Phaser arrays carved orange-yellow lines across the darkness. The Dominion returned fire with withering polaron beams that chewed through shields designed to resist them. For the USS Thunderchild took 3 direct hits, its shields collapsing. Another salvo tore through the saucer section, venting atmosphere and bodies. The ship listed, emergency power failing, a floating tomb. Thunderchild is down, Worf reported. Casualty count estimates 400. 400 lives gone in seconds. Mitchell's jaw clenched. Colonel Mitchell, the female changeling's voice came over an open channel, broadcast across all frequencies. I gave you a chance to avoid this. You chose poorly. Now watch your allies die. More ships coming through the wormhole, Marks called. 210 contacts now. 220, 230. Almost there, Carter said. Cameron, we need at least 250 through before we trigger. Otherwise, the remaining forces can still overwhelm us. The battle intensified. The USS Galaxy traded broadsides with 3 Jem'Hadar battlecruisers, its superior shields holding but degrading rapidly. The Defiant-class ships, small, fast, heavily armed, darted through the Dominion formation like angry hornets, their quantum torpedoes finding weak points in enemy shields. The Odyssey held position near DS9, its Asgard plasma beams lashing out with surgical precision. Every shot was a kill. Jem'Hadar shields meant nothing against technology from another universe. But even the Odyssey couldn't be everywhere at once. 240 contacts, Marks announced. 250, 260. That's enough, Mitchell decided. Carter, trigger the device. Now. In the Odyssey's engineering section, Carter's fingers flew across the Asgard control interface. Initiating subspace inversion. I'm channeling energy through the deflector array. A beam of impossibly complex energy, part ancient, part Asgard, part desperate human ingenuity, lanced across space and struck the Wormhole's event horizon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the Wormhole convulsed. The serene blue-white aperture turned violent crimson. Spatial distortions rippled outward like waves on a disturbed pond. And the Jem'Hadar battlecruiser halfway through transit simply ceased to exist, torn apart by gravitational forces that existed only in theoretical physics papers. On the Gamma Quadrant side, 57 Dominion ships were queued for transit. Their commanders watched in horror as the Wormhole became a churning maelstrom of destructive energy. 3 ships tried to abort transit. The Wormhole caught them anyway, pulling them in, or crushing them like insects in a closing fist. Wormhole is destabilizing, Nog reported from DS9. Gravimetric distortions are off the scale. Nothing can get through. The female changeling's voice cut across all channels again, but the smooth confidence was gone, replaced by cold fury. What have you done? Change the odds, Mitchell replied. You've got 260 ships on this side of the Wormhole. Your reinforcements are cut off. Now it's a fair fight. There's nothing fair about this, the founder hissed. You've damaged the Celestial Temple. The Bajorans will never forgive you. On DS9, Kira stared at the roiling Wormhole with anguish written across her features. The Prophets! What have we done to them? Sisko placed a hand on her shoulder. What we had to. And if the Prophets are who you believe they are, they'll understand. The tactical situation had shifted dramatically. 260 Dominion ships against 46 Federation vessels. The Thunderchild's destruction had reduced their numbers. And the Odyssey. Still overwhelming odds, but no longer impossible. All ships, Sisko ordered. Concentrate fire on the Founder's flagship. If we take out their command structure, the Jem'Hadar may fragment. The Federation fleet converged on the massive Vorta command vessel at the center of the Dominion formation. It was a calculated gamble, exposing themselves to devastating crossfire for a chance to decapitate the enemy command. The USS Galaxy positioned itself between the Founder's flagship and the rest of the Dominion fleet, its shields absorbing horrific punishment. Captain Hardin's voice came across the command frequency. Sisko, we can't hold this position much longer. If you're going to make your shot, make it now. Odyssey, this is DS9. You have the best targeting systems. Can you hit their bridge from this range? Mitchell looked at Teal'c, who had taken over tactical. Teal'c? The Jaffa warrior's fingers danced across the Asgard interface with practiced precision. Target acquired. Asgard plasma beams charged. However, Colonel Mitchell, their flagship's shields are significantly stronger than standard vessels. A single shot may not penetrate. Then we don't use a single shot, Mitchell decided. Marks, divert auxiliary power to forward weapons. Carter, I need maximum yield on the plasma beams, and I don't care if we burn out half the emitters doing it. Cameron, if we overload the system, do it! The Odyssey's forward weapons array blazed with light as energy reserves meant to power the ship for weeks, channeled into seconds of devastating firepower. Twin plasma beams, each one bright enough to be visible from the station, lanced across 50,000 kilometers of space. They struck the Founder's flagship simultaneously. The shields held for exactly 3.2 seconds. Then they collapsed in a cascade of failing energy fields. The plasma beams carved into the hull, slicing through bulkheads, venting atmosphere, destroying critical systems. But the flagship didn't explode. Dominion engineering was too robust for that. The vessel listed, trailing debris and fire, clearly crippled but still intact. Direct hit, Teal'c confirmed. Their command systems are offline. The Jem'Hadar are... He stopped. Every officer on every Federation bridge stopped. staring at their tactical displays in confusion. The Jem'Hadar ships weren't attacking anymore. They weren't retreating either. They were just drifting. Weapons powered down. Engines on minimal thrust. Like puppets whose strings had been cut. "What's happening?" Kira demanded. Odo's expression was grim understanding. "The Founder. She's dead or incapacitated. The Jem'Hadar are genetically programmed to obey the Founders absolutely. Without her orders, they don't know what to do." Daniel's voice came over Mitchell's comm. "Cameron, I'm reading something from the Wormhole. It's stabilizing. And there's something else. Energy signatures I've only seen in ancient databases. The prophets are responding." The Wormhole began to glow with ethereal light. Not the violent red of destabilization, but something older, stranger, filled with purpose that transcended linear time. And then, impossibly, the Wormhole spoke. Not in words. In concepts that bypassed language entirely, flooding every mind in the sector with crystalline clarity. The Sisko's allies have shown courage. The balance is restored. The gateway remains. The Wormhole sealed itself, returning to its serene blue-white beauty as if the battle had never happened. The aftermath of battle was always the hardest part. Mitchell walked through the Odyssey's corridors, passing repair crews welding hull breaches and medics treating wounded. The ship had taken significant damage. 40% of their forward shields were offline, 3 Asgard beam emitters were burned out, and structural integrity on decks 5 through 7 was compromised. But they were alive, and the ship was salvageable. More than could be said for the USS Thunderchild, the Valiant, and 9 other Federation vessels reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Deep Space Nine's infirmary was overflowing. Dr. Bashir worked with mechanical precision, his genetically enhanced mind triaging casualties faster than humanly possible, which, Mitchell reflected grimly, Bashir technically wasn't. The Odyssey's medical staff had integrated seamlessly, sharing supplies and expertise across the cultural divide. 260 Dominion ships floated dead in space. The Jem'Hadar crews, leaderless and programmed for absolute obedience, had simply shut down when the female changeling died. Some had activated self-destruct sequences. Others drifted, waiting for orders that would never come. Sisko had made the pragmatic choice: offer surrender and medical treatment to survivors willing to accept Federation custody. Surprisingly, several Vorta administrators had agreed. Without Founder oversight, their loyalty protocols were flexible. Mitchell found Daniel in one of DS9's science labs, surrounded by holographic displays showing wormhole telemetry and ancient database cross-references. "Tell me you found something," Mitchell said. Daniel looked up, exhaustion evident in the lines around his eyes. "The prophets aren't ancients. They're something else. A species that evolved entirely within subspace, existing outside normal time. They created the wormhole as I guess you'd call it a doorway into linear reality. A way to observe and occasionally interact with corporeal beings. So they're not gods." "No, but they're not gods either. The distinction gets philosophical at that level of existence." Daniel pulled up comparative analysis. "What's interesting is that ancient technology and prophet constructs operate on similar principles, manipulating fundamental space-time structure, which suggests there might be a way to reverse engineer our arrival. You're saying we can get home?" "I'm saying it's possible. The wormhole is stable now. The prophets repaired whatever damage we caused. If we can analyze the subspace harmonics that pulled us here and create a controlled inversion." Daniel trailed off, seeing Mitchell's expression. "What? We're not leaving yet." Daniel's eyebrows rose. "Cameron, we've been here 4 days. We have families, responsibilities, a whole universe that needs us. Jack, Sam's dad, the SGC. I know, but look at what we've done." Mitchell gestured toward the window, where debris from 200 Dominion ships drifted in silent testimony. "We changed the course of their war. 47 Federation ships held off 300 because we were here. How many more will die if we leave now?" "That's not our responsibility," Daniel protested, but his voice lacked conviction. "We can't fight every war in every universe." "No, but we can fight this one. Mitchell pulled up casualty projections Carter had compiled. The Dominion War has killed over 900 billion sentient beings. 900 billion, Daniel. The Goa'uld enslaved millions across a galaxy for thousands of years. The Ori killed millions more. But this war? It's genocide on an industrial scale. And we're supposed to stop it? Cameron, we're one ship. One ship that just killed 260 enemy vessels and crippled their command structure. Carter thinks we can repair the hyperdrive in 72 hours. We could jump to Dominion space, hit their shipyards, their cloning facilities, their Ketracel white production. Surgical strikes that cripple their ability to wage war. Teal'c's voice came from the doorway. I have been speaking with Worf and Major Kira. The Jem'Hadar are slaves. Colonel Mitchell. Born into bondage, chemically controlled, with no possibility of freedom. They are as the Jaffa once were. Warriors who deserve liberation, not death. Teal'c's right, Daniel admitted. The parallel is exact. We spent years freeing the Jaffa from Goa'uld control. How is this different? Because it's not our universe, Mitchell said, but he was arguing against himself now. Because we have our own problems back home. Because... Carter entered, covered in grease and carrying a pad. Because we're the good guys, and good guys don't walk away from genocidal slavers when they can help. She dropped the pad on the table. Hyperdrive repairs are complete. Chief O'Brien is a genius. He synthesized Naquata analogs using their industrial replicators. Or we can jump to hyperspace whenever you give the order. You're all voting to stay, Mitchell observed. I'm voting to finish what we started, Carter corrected. We destabilized their invasion, but the Dominion still controls most of the Gamma Quadrant. They still have founder leadership, still have cloning facilities producing Jem'Hadar by the thousands. If we leave now, the Federation might win this sector, but the war continues. Vala appeared, because of course she did, carrying drinks for everyone. I hate to be the voice of pessimism, but staying means we're choosing sides. Permanently. The Federation will expect us to fight their battles. Section 31 will keep pressuring us for technology, and the Dominion will throw everything they have at killing us. All true, Mitchell acknowledged, which is why I'm putting it to a vote. We're SG-1, not a military dictatorship. Everyone gets a say. Teal'c spoke first. I vote we remain. To abandon enslaved warriors when we possess the power to free them would be dishonorable. The Jaffa would understand this choice. Daniel cleaned his glasses, his thinking tell. I vote we stay, but with conditions. We help end the war, not just win battles. That means political solutions, not just military strikes. We find a way to break the Jem'Hadar's genetic addiction, negotiate with the founders, maybe even establish diplomatic channels. That's optimistic, Carter said. But I vote stay too. We have technology that can save billions of lives. Not using it because we're homesick feels wrong. Vala shrugged. I'm contractually obligated to follow you idiots into danger. Besides, this universe has better shopping. I vote stay. Mitchell looked at each of them, his team, his family, the people he'd trust with his life in any universe. Then we stay, but we do this smart. No reckless heroics, no technology giveaways, and we find a way home the moment the war's over. Agreed? Agreed, they said in unison. The door chimed. Sisko entered with Kira and Worf. Colonel Mitchell, we need to discuss your long-term operational status. Starfleet Command wants to integrate the Odyssey into the defensive fleet. Admiral Ross is offering you a commission as a Starfleet tactical advisor. Mitchell smiled slightly. Tell the Admiral we appreciate the offer, but we're independent contractors. We'll coordinate with Starfleet, share intelligence, and fight alongside you. But we're not joining your military. Or we answer to Earth Command, our Earth Command. Sisko studied him. That's going to create political complications. Probably, but it's also going to keep us effective. You need people who can take risks Starfleet regulations won't allow. People who fought system lords and Ori and survived. That's what we offer. Kira smiled. The first genuine warmth Mitchell had seen from her. The Prophet sent you for a reason. Maybe this is it. Maybe, Daniel agreed. Or maybe we just got really spectacularly lost and decided to make the best of it. Worf's expression was almost approving. Either way, you fight with honor. The Klingon Empire would welcome such warriors as allies. As the meeting dissolved into tactical planning, Mitchell stepped to the viewport. The wormhole pulsed with serene beauty, utterly unchanged by the carnage around it. Somewhere on the other side was the Gamma Quadrant, the Dominion homeworld, and answers about getting home. But that was tomorrow's problem. Today, they'd won a battle and bought the Federation time. It would have to be enough. Carter joined him at the viewport. Second thoughts? Always. You? About 1,000. But Cameron? We did the right thing. Those Jem'Hadar slaves deserved someone fighting for their freedom, not just strategic advantage. Let's hope the Federation sees it that way. And if they don't? Mitchell's smile was predatory. Then we remind them what happens when you underestimate Earth. Any Earth. The Odyssey remained in the Alpha Quadrant for 3 years. During that time, SG-1 became legends, the warriors from another Earth who refused to abandon allies in need. They struck Dominion cloning facilities, or liberated occupied worlds, and worked with Federation scientists to synthesize a Ketracel-white alternative that freed thousands of Jem'Hadar from genetic slavery. The war ended not with conquest, but with negotiation. Daniel Jackson's archaeological expertise helped discover evidence that the Founders' paranoia about solids stemmed from ancient trauma, persecution by solid species millions of years ago. Understanding didn't excuse their actions, but it created a foundation for eventual peace. When the Dominion finally surrendered, Carter activated the dimensional gateway they'd discovered. The Prophets, perhaps grateful or simply curious, stabilized the portal long enough for the Odyssey to return home. They emerged in their own Milky Way to find only 4 days had passed. Temporal mechanics across dimensional boundaries remained bizarre. General O'Neill demanded a full debrief that lasted 2 weeks. The IOA wanted to classify everything. The Pentagon wanted Dominion War tactical analysis. SG-1 wanted sleep. But late at night, when the debriefings were done and the reports were filed, Mitchell would stand in the Odyssey's observation deck and wonder about the Federation they'd left behind. About Sisko and Kira and Worf. About whether the Jem'Hadar they'd freed had found purpose beyond war. About whether, somewhere in the infinite multiverse, there were other wars that needed fighting and other slaves who needed freeing. Thinking about going back? Carter asked, joining him. Thinking about what we learned. That there are universes where Earth never found the Stargate. Where humanity developed differently but still reached for the stars. Where good people fight against impossible odds and somehow win. Or lose, Carter added quietly. Without us, they might have lost. Which means somewhere else. Someone like us is fighting a war they can't win alone, and we'll never even know. Can't save every universe, Cameron. No, but we saved one. That's something. Carter smiled. Yeah, it is. Behind them, the Milky Way stretched eternal and familiar. Ahead, Earth hung blue and green and impossibly precious. Home, at least for now. Live long and prosper. More stories await.